Hello guys, welcome back, and today we're going to be talking about Hero of Remnant. But before we actually start, I'm really sorry that I didn't make a video earlier because at the time it just sort of had a blackout, more specifically in my house. So I had to, my phone was basically was shut down because of that. So yeah, so I'm currently making this about 10 o'clock. So yeah. So let's actually begin the actual episode. Shall we, guys? So we currently see Izuku as he would wake up, as every single other student would also wake up, with our girl aka Weiss also waking up as well. As Izuku would say this, morning he would say, as she would say this, specifically Weiss. Morning Izuku, she would say, as he would say this. As he would start stretching a little bit, as he would say this. Well, I'm gonna start getting ready now, he would say. As he would start getting ready to leave, as she would say this. Where are you going? She would say, as he would say this. Changing my clothes. I remember we're supposed to have our initiation. As she would say this. Oh, almost forgot, she would say. As he would say this. Oh well. Anyway, let's get going, he would say. As she would say this. Yeah, let's go, she would say. As after that, she would start leaving with Izuku. As for some other people, he would notice a specific ginger, as she's currently pestering a almost Chinese man, or at least, Chinese in his eyes. He seems to be more Australian than anything else, or at least that's the proper pronunciation, or the actual, um, you know, you know, ethnicity, I guess you could say. As after he left, he would start leaving to, change his clothes, and after doing so, he would also eat breakfast. So, he would change his clothes into his, into his actual, huntsman uniform, as after doing so, he would say this. So, as he would start remembering what he's supposed to do. Apparently, the initiation's pretty much simple. Basically, they're gonna be, you know, thrown into in the forest, or at least the, Emerald Forest, where they're going to be fighting against some Grim, and then after doing so, they would have to wait for a second. Sorry about that. Anyway, continue on. As the initiation will just be easy, thinking about it, they will just be thrown into the, yeah, into the Emerald Forest, where they're going to be going to a certain ruin, or at least ruins, where they're supposed to get a relic. As after, thinking about it, he would hear one of his, one of the Ten Commandments, specifically Joel would say this. This is probably gonna be easy, he would say. As, Izuku would say this. Yes, especially with with your creation magic. As he would say this. Yes. Wait for a second. Oh, never mind. Technically, it is, Droll's certain ability, which is, called Ground, or at least in the wiki, is basically just a stronger variant of, Creation, aka a standard giant ability, which allows them to, and I quote, control the earth. So I'm just gonna be calling it Ground, thinking about it. But after, saying that to himself, or at least, saying that to him, specifically Joel, as Izuku would say this. I see, he would say. As after a bit of thinking, he would just go back to the locker rooms and would start getting ready for the actual, um, initiation, where he would grab his signature weapon, or at least his new signature weapon, which, well, I decided to just call Eric. The reason why is because, well, in not really mythology, but actual sort of history, or at least I think so, is, his last name, which I'm not even kidding. His literal last name is Blood Axe. Think about it. Imagine being, imagine your last name being Blood Axe. Nobody would want to fuck with you. So, yeah, so, as after grabbing, Eric being that of his axe, he would start leaving. As while he was leaving, he would notice Weiss talking to a certain. Spartan girl. As after, noticing her, he would see that it was the famous Paranikos. He already knows her because of, well, one time he actually, actually did won one of the tournaments, which is why many people know about him. But only one, because the rest of it, or at least the other, other championships, he would went like, I'm not really interested. I prefer to just train. Even though it would probably also help him with like, experience, but still. So, after seeing her, he would say, huh, so, Pyronikos is here, he would say to himself, as one of them specifically. As Droll would say this, oh, it's the invincible queen herself, he would say. As he would say this, yeah, he would say. As after saying that, he would say this, truly, I think that she might be one of my favorites, he would say. As he would say this, what is that supposed to mean, he would say? As he would say this, well, us giants believe that, strength is everything. And I do agree with that sentiment, he would say. And with her strength and her semblance, which we figured out during our battle, is quite the interesting thing, he would say. As he would say this, yeah. Experience, talent, and not only that, her overpowered semblance, he would say. As he would say this, yes, correct, Izuku, he would say. As after saying that, one of them, specifically our boy Zeldris, as he would say this, brains and brawn, one in a single package, he would say. That perfectly describes you. As after saying that, he would say this. Um, thanks, Zeldris, he would say. As he would say this. Well, it does make sense after all, you basically being down the strongest, I think you called him villain, he would say. As he would say this. Well, yeah. Specifically, he's, well, the successor, or at least the so-called successor of the number one villain, he would say. As he would say this. Anyway, let's just focus on our current objective. I meant current objective, he would say. As he would say this. Oh yes, he would say specifically, Izuku. Our objective is to get the relic in the fastest way possible, he would say. As he would say this. Yeah, specifically Zeldris. And after that, he would start, you know, going towards both, Weiss and also, well, Pyra. As we currently see Izuku seeing, you know, seeing Weiss talking to, Pyra, as she would say this. Well, with your power and my smarts, including Izuku's, well, smarts and talent, we can become unstoppable, she would say. As, you know, our girl over there, aka Best Girl, well, right next to, other Best Girl, you know, aka Neo, as she would say this. Well, that's the problem, she would say. Apparently it's going to be random, well, or at least sort of random, or, actual thing, she would say, or at least the team, she would say. As she would say this. Wait, really? She would say? As Izuku would come up to them, as he would say this. Well, kind of, he would say. As after saying that, oh, both of them would just look towards Izuku, as she would say this, specifically, Weiss. Ah, Izuku, you're here, she would say. As he would say this. As he would say this. Continuing on, it's technically random, or at least somewhat. Basically, um, it's going to act as similarly to, well, sort of balancing things out, he would say. As she would say this. Ah, I see, she would say. Specifically, our girl, over there. AKA, Pyra. As Weiss would say this. Oh, I see. As he would say this. So it's going to be dependent on us. Also, by the way, you would start looking at, Weiss, as he would say this. There's also another reason why. It's because, well, I'm actually not really sure. But I did told but I did heard from my father that apparently this, well, initiation apparently is going to have us either going to have us, wait for a second. If we ever find, somebody random, like for example, you, for example, as you would look towards Pyra, is apparently going to be my teammate. If we make eye contact, to be more precise, he would say. As one of them would say this, specifically, Weiss. Oh, I see, she would say. As he would say this. Yeah, so just in case, just make sure to not, try not to be partnered up with somebody like, well, as you would start looking towards a different area and would see, well, a bumbling idiot. And I'm sort of shaving, a certain blonde haired boy. If you can guess, well, yeah. So, as, Izuku would say this. Anyway, I should probably be leaving. After all, the initiation's about to start. And so, Rex would start. Not Rex, I meant Izuku would start leaving. As Pyra would say this. Oh, um, bye, Izuku, she would say. As he would say this. Yeah, you know, bye, Pyra, he would say. As after saying that, Weiss would also follow him as well. After that, we would move to a different perspective. As we currently see, Ozpin, as he's currently talking to somebody on the scroll, as he would say this. Ah, Ironwood, he would say. As he would say this. So, how's my son, he would say. As Ozpin would say this. Doing well. I mean, he seems to be mostly talking to the heiress to the Shinny Dust Company, he would say. As he would say this. Ah, I see, he would say. As he would say this. What? Are you perhaps worried about your, son over there, he would say. As he would say this. Well, yes and no. The reason why is because, well, I do know that he's quite talented, and not only that, quite you know, the capable person, but he can certainly be somewhat of an airhead, he would say. As he would say this. Really? Why exactly, he would say. As he would say this. It's probably my parenting, but I think the reason why is because maybe, perhaps he, well, is too powerful to basically acknowledge, well, you know, his somewhat failure, he would say, as he would say this. Really? Then what is that exactly, he would say, as he would say this. Well, remember what I told you about him basically destroying, half entire area of our estate, he would say, or at least my estate, he would say, as he would say this. Oh, yeah, as he would say this. Yeah, let's just say I sort of became worried about him, so I basically told him to not cause any trouble and also try not to hurt himself. As after saying that, he would say this. Hmm, you really are somewhat of a good parent. As he would say this. Huh, thanks, Osman, he would say. As after that, he would say this. By the way, please take care of him. I don't want him getting into trouble. I sincerely love him. After all, he's basically my child, he would say. As he would say this. "Hmm, I'll promise you, friend, he would say. As after saying that, he would basically, disconnect himself from the, actual thing, aka the scroll. And after doing so, he would say this. Alright, Glinda, let's get ready, he would say. As after that, he would start walking to the podium. And so, after doing so, the rest of the students would finally arrive, as Osman would give off the speech from from actual canon, as everybody would start getting ready to be launched towards the Emerald Forest. So, as people were being launched off, one of them, specifically the blonde-haired, barf boy over there, would say, what is the landing strategy? He would say, as he would say this, specifically Osman. Well, a landing strategy is just that, a landing strategy, as he would say this. Is there a way to do it? He would say, as slowly and slowly, several launch pads would already be, activated, as several people would start jumping off. As we currently see Izuku, also getting ready, as he would say this. Well, it's just your own, type of landing strategy, he would say. As after saying that, he would say this. Oh crap, he would say, specifically Jean, as he's, starting to panic a little bit. As Izuku, after waiting, well, Jean would also be launched, including the others. And as for Izuku, he would get ready, and he would be launched, instantly flying into the sky as, after, everybody is no longer watching him, he would activate his darkened wings, similar to how a demon actually uses them. And so, this is where I'm going to be ending off this episode. So, yeah, so, bye bye!